Pray. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, would you please do roll call?
I certainly will. Keith Austin.
Here.
Wes Stofire.
Amen.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Baird. Julia Cook. John Crittenden.
Amen.
Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins. Hayden Duncan.
Amen.
Rex Jordan.
Here.
Darrell Legg.
Here.
George Huskowski. Here. Mike Shambaugh. Mary Bakershaw. Honey. Leo Smith.
Here.
Denise Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. Honey. We do have a quorum.
Excellent. Let's see here. We'll just get started with Miss Diane Kelly, representing Talking Leads, Vocational Programs, and Job Corps.
Did we do minutes?
Oh, we did not do minutes. Thank you, Shelley.
Make a motion they do, please.
Well, I'll accept that motion. Who would like to vote in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, Miss Diane Kelly, what do you have to say good today? I'm sorry, what?
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
I can.
Very good. I came down, but I decided I didn't want to wear my mask, so I came back to my office.
Okay.
Okay. You have my report that was submitted. We actually featured some outstanding vocational participants, and I would like to have you pat yourself on the back for all the support and approval that you gave the administration in allowing us to get additional money for customized training. We met with all 4 of the Career Tech centers last week on video conferencing. It went real well. We are designing some customized training programs that will start in August and run through December with the intent of getting people jobs at the end of the customized training in December. We wouldn't have been able to do the short-term training other than what programs that we already have in place. So we're going to be rolling out quite a few classes. Up in Tulsa, I think we're going to be doing culinary, we're going to be doing some welding. At Tri-County in Bartlesville, we're going to be doing some CNA. I can't remember, there's like 4 different classes. We've got trucking, we've got welding, IT classes designed, a lot of health classes and medical records, medical assistance, phlebotomy. We'll be rolling this out at Northeast Tech in Kansas, Afton, Sallisaw, Stillwell, all these different locations where there is a Career Tech Center. We will be offering classes, and I'm working with all 4 campuses to have some flyers out, and I'll make sure that Gail gets those flyers and we can get them out to you in your respective areas. We're already getting phone calls from the clients that are interested in taking the classes. Our first lineman group is scheduled to go out on practicum here in about another week. We have made selections on our second lineman class that will start the week that they go out on practicum. Bobby Wolf is our CDL trucking licensed person who's working with us on the lineman. And we had a bucket truck that was donated to us from PSO. And I have to give a shout out to Shane Kirby because he was the one who worked with us to get this. And of course, Cherokee Nation will benefit from it as well. But when we're needing it out in the class, we'll be using it out there. Our new instructor came to us from Lake Region. He was retiring. He's our new instructor for the lineman class. And he's been doing a really fantastic job. They got all the poles set up. And we plan a kind of a ribbon cutting of all the different partners that were involved with the lineman class here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that we'll be sending out invitations for that, and it'll be outside. We've got a whole array of training going on in-house, and we're looking at our business tech program to offer an evening class because it's so popular. We get demand on our students who are going through our business tech program to go to work in some department before they actually graduate. So we have to put them on a fast track so that they can get all of their certifications in before they actually go to work. So we're going to open up a class in the evening. We've been working very closely with the health department and our tax office, tax commission, in trying to get extra help for them right now. We have somewhere around 300 and something in summer youth, and we plan to continue the summer youth program past the 7 weeks for those that are in college or they're seniors in high school. And we'll be working with them all the way up through December the 30th if they want to work part-time. The Talking Leads Job Corps, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Deputy Chief Brian Warner was selected to be one of the advisory board members for our National Job Corps Advisory Board, and he is on conference calls with them on a regular basis. I was just talking to him a few minutes ago, and a lot of the Job Corps centers, because of the number of students that we have, and there are a lot of the urban areas throughout New York, California, places like that, they have to schedule our opening across the board, even though there may not be a spike in a specific town or state, but there could be spikes going on in other states and other towns. Right now, we're not scheduled to start bringing students back to the campus until September, but that could get moved back to October. We have weekly calls with the national director. We also have regional calls with the Dallas regional office on a weekly basis. We brought our instructors in May, and they started putting together the distance learning, and 85% of our population at Talking Leads is on the distance learning program. Some of the other students are in the practicum. They've either gotten jobs, and we will not be bringing in any new students until they actually allow us to open the doors, and we'll transition those new students in. During that time period, we were still actively in contact with all of our students. We took food to some of the kids that were couch surfing at other people's houses. We made sure that they got their pay line pay, and during the whole time that we were off in March up through June, our payroll staff came in, our TANF staff came in to make sure that there was no break in pay for any of our clients. So everything just went as it would if we'd been here every day. And I can't say enough about my staff. They were in contact with all of their clients, doing case notes, finding out if there was emergencies. We were on the phone day and night trying to make sure that everybody had what they needed during the pandemic. Do you all have any questions?
Yes, Diane, I know that I was very excited to hear about the new investments we're going to be making through the CARES funds to technical education. Is your staff ready for that? Do you have the staff you need?
Our staff are always ready. We are continuing to take vocational training applications. We start taking them usually about the end of June before summer youth is over with, and all of our staff will be taking applications. Because we have the CHEP program, we've got the Cherokee Career Readiness program, all of our counselors are cross-trained to be able to take the first 2 pages of an application, and then when it's determined that they can qualify for one of our programs, then that is handed off to the experts in the other programs. But no, all of our counselors can take the application, so we're prepared.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited that we're able to do that right now. I saw a hand over here. Was that Councilor Vasquez?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Diane. If a young person is wanting to sign up for the lineman training, how do they apply and when could they expect to start?
Right now, I think there was close to 50 applicants, and we only accept 10 per class.
Wow.
And that is because we have to find places for them to go for their practicum, and we have a small classroom, and one instructor can only work with 10 students at any given time. But they overlap when they go out on the practicum, and that's when the second class starts. We won't be seeing a third class start until winter.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Deere?
Hey, Miss Diane, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Councilman Deere?
Hey, good. Hey, I was just going to make you aware, in Tulsa, I've had several calls from vendors where they are having trouble finding electrical apprentice it's an entry-level position, but they are looking for that. If you could put that on there somewhere, that people that are looking for
Yeah.
any type of job, the electrical apprentice is, I guess, short on getting people in just so where they can start working.
We're going to be doing electrical training at Tulsa Tech and also at Northeast Tech, which is in Friday at the Mid-America campus.
Okay, well, can you send that out generally to the Terrell Electrical in Tulsa so they will know to get on that program to find those employees?
Yes, I sure will. One of the things that we do is when someone graduates from the construction trades program or any of the skill type programs like electrical, any of those programs, we let the Terrell office and then we let the housing authority know about anybody that's graduated from those programs.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
There are the questions.
Diane, just have a comment for you on this 300 summer youth college and then extending it through December even for high school students. I want to commend you and your staff for allowing that opportunity for our summer youth, because with the unemployment as it is right now in Oklahoma, to place those students in a workforce and allow them to make an income and contribute to their families, that truly is a big deal in the 14 counties. So I want to thank you and your staff for allowing that to happen.
Well, the staff, we were afforded the opportunity to come up with areas that we felt like it would be beneficial, and that was one of the areas that Jeff Vance and his team came up with, because we get a lot of calls right after summer youth is over with for some of the seniors and some of the people that are in college to work because they couldn't get either on the work study program or they couldn't get a job part-time. So it will help them and benefit them to work in an environment maybe that they're going to learn their training and scholarships.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we appreciate what you do.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to the staff.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I see no more hands. Are there any more questions? All right, Diane, we sure appreciate your time and all your work. Thank your staff.
Okay, I'll see you guys at 3 o'clock. Bye.
All right, we've got our Executive Director of Education, Mr. Corey Bunch, and we sure appreciate him being back in the room again. I know many are able to do it remotely, but with the time of year and all the activity in school right now and all the questions, I think it's good to actually be able to have the conversation. So thank you, Corey.
Thank you. You guys should have our report, and also Chairman Austin, we sent the information you asked for on the org chart with the contact information. Gail has that, so if you guys don't have it yet, then you should have it very soon.
Okay, yes, thank you. I've not saw it yet.
Just a few highlights. I want to say thank you to Cherokee Nation Administration, Principal Chief Hoskin and Deputy Chief Warner, and Tribal Council for supporting the education initiative that was recently released. It's a $40 million plan, and there's several parts to it, as you guys know, but so far we've received over 25,000 applications for the $400 technology stipend.
Wow.
So those are coming in quick. Just like to remind you that that can be found on the Cherokee Nation webpage, and the deadline is August the 7th, so make sure they know the deadline on that. There are 2 different ways to call or contact us for questions. We have a call bank established. The number is 918-453-5088. The email address is education@cherokee.org, and we're doing our best to address any questions that the citizens may have. We're actually getting hundreds of calls and nearly 100 emails a day. So at this point, I better stop and say thank you to our education staff. It's all hands on deck with this. We're processing everything as quickly as we possibly can, and we just simply couldn't do it without all of them. So thank you guys. We should be sending out the $10,000 school checks this week to all 107 schools that we work with. The $1.25 million competitive grant notice, we hope to get that out to school superintendents by the end of this week as well. We ended up with about 5,500 scholarship applications, and so we're processing them as quickly as we can. It shouldn't be too many more days until we'll have those complete, and then right afterwards, we could process the $750 technology stipend for those students, go directly to them. So those are just a few highlights. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Will the $750 be going directly to the student in what form? A card?
They're still working out that process with Treasurer. We're trying to figure out some sort of electronic transfer process because it'll save money. Anytime we send out a card or a check, of course, that takes additional resources and time. So we're really trying to find a creative way to get it to them, the electronic process, and it's much quicker, simpler, just real easy, gets to them quick.
And are they then accountable back to us for what they use the funds for?
They're basically signing an assurance whenever they accept this award that it will be applied to the right purposes.
All right, that's what I thought. Yes, Councilor Nelson.
I sent an email out last week to Chief and yourself and Todd Enlow about how I think it's amazing. We're giving the students $400 to help buy computers, things that are necessary. There could be, I said there could be, I know there's going to be a little bit of problems, and I think that I've talked to a lot of superintendents within my own district about this, trying to, I bought a computer a year and a half ago. I didn't know what I was buying. I was just buying whatever I thought would work. It's kind of confusing. You see terabytes, speed, everything. I feel like what we're going to do is we're going to set our kids up to not know what to purchase. Some are going to know what to do, obviously. Some aren't going to know what to buy. Some are going to be able to work with the students' software at the school, and some aren't.
Yeah, that's right.
So there may be a waste of $400 like that. And then they're not going to have the means to study online whenever they go home because they don't have home internet. I sent a strong suggestion that since it's now in the Treasury's hands, if there was a way to issue the funds for the technology part to where they could have the school or an educational program authorize the check, because some schools like Woodall in my own district, they purchased every student K through 9 or K through 8, when I spoke with the school board member, a computer. So 80% of those students are Native Americans now having $400, so they may go buy their computer, and now Woodall is basically left hung to dry with all the funds of buying these computers. And I feel like there could be an approach that we could help the schools too by saying, hey, listen, since you're going to your school to get it authorized, the superintendents or a faculty member who's going to authorize that check will be able to advise the student a couple things. One is we have a computer with the software already on it. The teacher knows about you logging into it so you can do your homework. We have one-on-one interaction with it. They don't make a mistake of buying the wrong computer. And there's a cost savings to it. The purchase that those schools can make in bulk are a lot cheaper, and because everyone's so afraid of it going online, computers are going to start to become a real thing to try to get a hold of. It's going to be tough. And in fact, one of the schools I spoke with said they're on a month back order for their bulk purchases. I know you can still get them at Walmart or whatever, but they can get them cheaper, which last I had, one of the schools I'd spoken with said that they were getting them for right about $320, which would give the school approximately $70 left over to help that student get home internet on that device. So I was suggesting that as a way, as a method, that when we go fund these programs, because the application didn't even include what school they went to on it, so we can't go with the schools and call them. And I know there may be a process because we have some ways of knowing how many percentage of students are there that are Native American, but I really strongly urge to get a response to that email of how we can fix that to help set our kids up for success with this money. And a lot of them will take it and use it, and it's going to work out great, but I'm afraid that there might be some that might fall through the cracks. So,
well, certainly understand your concern with that, and actually, one of the superintendents in your area, Mr. Woods,
yes,
from Keys, he mentioned that concern to me as well. And this is what I've been suggesting to a lot of the school superintendents, that you put the information out to your parents. Most of them have a website or some sort of electronic messaging system to their parents, that they recommend to them what type of device that they're using at their schools. That way we can kind of match up the money with what is actually needed. And Mr. Woods and I also talked about what you were mentioning with the cost saving by buying in bulk.
Right.
If a district wants to offer the students and the parents a discounted price, let's say, hey, we have these for sale that we can sell these to you cheaper than you can go out to Best Buy or Amazon or somewhere, then they're certainly welcome to bring their money and purchase from the school. So it's just kind of different for each district in that manner. But I know your concern. It makes it a little bit challenging since it's kind of a nationwide or almost worldwide process with the $400. But so that's been my suggestion so far to the school superintendents and also to many of the parents. Contact your schools to see what devices they're using.
Do we have a good method of contacting these people back? That's 25,000 contacts. It's going to be tough, but to help advise them to get with their school, I mean, I still think that an approach to they're going to get the school involved for the purchase of cost savings. But
Mr. Enlow can probably speak to that better than I can with the system, but I do believe that the system will allow us to generate emails to all of those who apply, because that's one of the big requirements that get an email address on. Is that correct, Mr. Enlow?
So, Counselor, trying to address your question and your comment, I would tell you when we started on this process, we discussed making payments to schools directly.
right.
We talked about a technology store so that we could buy bulk items and say, if you want to buy X, Y, and Z, we'll get you, if we bought every student
Chromebook or something.
we might get it for $175
Right.
if buying on that volume. And allowing the schools or the students to go in and then pick from that store until their funds are expended. We looked at a variety of different scenarios, and ultimately what we felt like would be best for individual citizens, knowing to Corey's comment, is that this is not just inside the 14 county reservation, it's state of Oklahoma, it's United States, it's actually officially worldwide in the fact that there is no residency requirement. So we could have somebody that's foreign exchange in Brazil. Not that I think that they're doing foreign exchange in Brazil right now, but in case they were. So we felt like at the end of the day, it's best to put it in their hands because every school is doing something different. Tulsa Public Schools is doing something different than Shady Grove. Shady Grove is doing something different than Stillwell. Stillwell's doing something different than Bellefonte. And so allowing the direct payment to the individuals so that they can get those resources that they need to fill the gaps of what, in your case, Woodall is supplying Chromebooks. And I like Corey's comment about working actively with the school districts to help direct those students and those parents back to the school district if they're requiring laptops or Chromebooks. But we felt like providing this direct benefit to the citizens gave them the greatest flexibility to either buy, if they needed to buy a laptop, or if they needed to buy a home internet service, or if they needed to buy an iPad, or whatever resource they needed to help their technology experience. It gave them the flexibility to do that. So,
Good. I'm glad that. I just want to make sure that we can direct them back to the school, because the school's going to have the approach of what's necessary for that student. Because I'm just speaking on behalf of my district, not in Europe, but what the school, and down in Dry Creek, Tin Killer, what program they might be running, and making sure that that student down there understands. Because I know I was a kid, and my parents, I still don't understand computers, but they have that, and if there's a way that we can make sure we get that information to them so that they get with the schools, so that way.
Now, one other thing I do want to touch on too is that system. It's given us the flexibility to get valid email addresses and phone numbers for every household for those parents that's current up to date. And so we also made them aware that make sure you provide us a valid email address if you have one. We know not everybody's going to have an email address. We have backup payment plans for that. But we've asked everybody to make sure to be expecting a follow-up communication in case we have questions. And so we can definitely send guidance out, encourage them to connect back to their local school districts to provide better resources. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on is the competitive grant. So we are trying to help find ways to get additional funds into the public school systems. and also looking at another grant process through some other funding sources that are not CARES Act related, but they do allow us to partner up on those potentially and get more money into the schools to help them provide resources that they need to the schools. So
Appreciate
we're
it.
trying to do both
Yeah.
as best we possibly can. So
Well, I'll,
that's a good question.
And Corey, I don't know, have you spoke to Woodall? If not, I'll get in contact with you, with them to try to help that, because I know that amount of purchases on that school probably had to hurt them financially, and that way we can kind of massage that with them.
I sit in on a meeting just the other day with all of the Cherokee County superintendents, so
Right.
that's kind of the advice I gave to all of them.
Perfect, all right.
Same with Adair County.
Appreciate it, appreciate you guys both.
We got a lot of other folks, so we're going to see if Counselor Taylor would like to speak right now.
I just had a couple questions. One regarding, and two of them are under the language, so you may have to take it back, but I noticed you're working on a children's program. Is that going to be YouTube available? How's that going to wash out?
Okay, I will definitely have to get back to you.
Okay, Corey, don't worry about it. I'll just
Okay.
email Roy
Okay.
and ask him about those things. And then my other question was fall community service alternatives. You alluded to you're working on different requirements. Have you nailed down what you're going to do there on the
We
scholarship?
have not, I've had many discussions, some with the chief of staff, but I've got several different ideas that will make it a little bit more flexible,
Okay.
but also maybe even geared towards more of an internship type thing, get them some experience for careers. So haven't hammered out those details yet, but we're definitely in talks on that.
Be curious to know what creative thing you come up with.
Okay.
That's all I had. Councilor
We
Osborne.
want to get them to expose to careers as much as possible too, and that may give us an opportunity to do so.
Good idea.
Counselor Shambo?
For the schools who have bought their students their own, their computers, is there any program to reimburse the schools for that?
That would be, again, up to each district on how they wanted to partner with the parents, I would say. But in many cases, you'll also find that parents are going to need a hotspot.
Yeah.
And along with that, the service to pay for that hotspot monthly. So the $400 will go a long ways towards that if they needed it.
Yeah.
So many uses for the $400.
We have a school who's already bought, Leach has already bought their students those instruments. So, and the superintendent called me and just wondered, said, hey, we've already done that. And I told him I would check and see if there was any possibility of maybe them being able to get reimbursed somehow since they've already did it.
I would say that they should look heavily at our competitive grant process to help offset the expense that they've incurred for that. That would be the quickest, probably easiest way for us to do that would be having them apply for that. So Corey will reach out to them. I'm sure.
Yeah, we certainly will. We'll contact each school district and probably even give them reminders. We'll set a pretty quick turnaround on the deadline because we want them to be able to get the funds into their hands whenever we release the grant application. But just remind the school superintendents that once we do to apply for it, because many of the schools, sometimes they won't respond to us when we send out emails and such about their needs. We get pretty good feedback, but not all schools respond to us.
I see no more hands, but I have, oh, Harley, I didn't see you. You got okay, Mary, thank you, but Harley's first.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have an estimated number of how many may apply for the $400 government grant? Do you have an estimated number?
70,000.
I've heard 70,000. I didn't want to say it out loud, but 70,000.
And that would be every eligible citizen at that point in time that we, between the ages of 5 and 18, that we projected would be about 70,000.
Thank you.
Wow. Mary?
Hi, Corey, thank you. You helped me with a problem last week, and I'm grateful for that. I wanted to ask you, was any money set aside for our JOM programs?
For JOM, not specifically on this initiative.
There's so many things, I can't help but think that if that could be a consideration, if we have any future funding. The other thing, it's a request, is there any way we could possibly get the information out about the $400 voucher, stipend voucher, whatever, to all the JOM programs in the nation so they could contact Cherokee students?
Okay, I will definitely explore that possibility. I'll talk with Mark about that. Mark's a lot more familiar with the JOM.
I can't but think there's got to be a national program somewhere because it's that important.
Okay.
I have 280,000 constituents, and there's no way I don't have phone numbers, so if we could get that word out that way, that would be a big help.
And going back to your question about the JOM programs, with this competitive grant, it's going to include all those JOM schools that we work with. So again, just encourage them to apply for it, put their needs on it. I think we'll be able to fund quite a few of the grants.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Crittenton.
Yeah. Each of our districts and counties are different. You know, Wes's differs from mine, and Joe's differs from mine. So we all have different, things going on in our counties. But in the conversations, if you're thinking about juggling some stuff, I really like the flexibility because you have so many scenarios where a kid may already have a computer and they may need, like you said, the service. They may need some headphones that they can, do their homework. So just in your conversations, I'm just going to speak for District 8 here. I really like the flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. No more hands? All right. Would you tell us if any update on immersion school? I've not saw if you've hired immersion school leadership yet.
We are working on that hire. We've actually completed our interviews and sent the selection process or the memo over to HR. So until that person, I guess, officially accepts and then I'm notified that I'd like to withhold that.
All right. Fair enough.
One more quick comment. Hey, Mr. Bunch, back in the fall, we passed a resolution here to do a joint venture, something similar to what we did with the health service here at Hastings Hospital with the Department of Interior. And Tara Sweeney, the Assistant Secretary of Interior, said that Sequoia High School qualified. So, I'd like to get with Mr. Moore, our new superintendent, and you, and let's go over this. When COVID hit, it just put everything on the back burner. But I'd like to revisit that and see where, and Shelley, if you would please, would you send them that resolution that we passed out here to pursue the joint venture? But anyway, I'd like to visit with you and Mr. Moore when the time is right here in the next few days and go over how we continue that process and pursue that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I think you've had enough, don't you?
I would like to introduce Mr. Patrick Moore. He's our superintendent, our new superintendent at Sequoia Schools.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore and Principal Cloud are doing a terrific job in planning for the upcoming school year. And a great guy, but Mr. Moore, say a few things.
Yeah, I won't take up too much time. Just introduce myself again. Patrick Moore. I've been there for a little over a month now. The entirety of my career from when I graduated from Northeastern has been in the Bureau-operated and tribally controlled school setting. I've been in I've had residential programs from close to 500 kids when I was at Riverside to about 180 the last 2 years at Jones Academy. So been a high school principal, and I was actually just counting up for the last this year will be my 10th year in administration. Going into my 10th year, it looks different than I could ever have imagined school looking, but we've got a good crew up there. Everybody's been working hard, just trying to do everything we can to prepare for the unknown. But I think we've got a lot of great resources. There's a lot of good people there. There's a lot of things that are already established that are going to allow us to do a good job and deliver a quality education in whichever manner we're able to do so when it comes time. So.
Excellent. One thing while you've got the floor is, as we enter the school year here in literally just weeks, what's our school year going to look like as far as the options for the kids right now?
Well, right now, our plan is to have, as a school, we're providing 3 options. The option of a traditional on-site schooling for all of our students, which is what we would, what we'd like to encourage. and then they've got the virtual option that they can choose to start off in a virtual setting. We have a blended option, which basically allows us to provide, we're trying to create it to where we've got a seamless transition. If we're able to start in August and we've got the majority of our students there and there's a period of shutdown, hopefully we can transition over to virtual, stay on the same schedule, keep our teachers on the same schedule, and just do class virtual until it's safe to return to the site. So those are basically our three options that we're starting with.
Now, you deal with something differently than any other school in our jurisdiction here. You deal with residential students.
Right.
Can you explain how that's going to be handled?
Well, our plan is, the good thing at Sequoia is we've got the space to be able to handle our students. We've got far more rooms than we have students that are planning on staying in the dorms. So with about roughly 60 kids that we would have, we can put, there's a lot of social distancing measures and protocols, safety protocols we can put in place that we think our kids can follow, that we feel we keep them safe. We actually had a call last week with Dr. Gann, Health Services. They went through our whole plan from all areas of the school, and the only thing that came up, the only recommendation they had was around our plan to put one student per room. The thought there was that there may be more behavioral health, emotional risk there due to the isolation than the risk involved with them, being able to have roommates still. Because, all of our, everything that we had in place, keeping face coverings, staggering the times in the laundry and using the showers and just all the common areas and things like that, keeping the schedule, keeping the space, they felt like that was going to be okay. I know in talking to some of the other residential schools in the area and across the nation, there's a lot of concern about travel. Here in a couple weeks, there's going to be a lot of kids traveling to schools. I know that a lot of schools have plans that they're not going to have their out-of-state students come here until it's safe, which that doesn't affect us much because we only have 4. As of right now, we had 4. One has called and indicated to us that she's going to stay home and go to school. So those 3 would have the option of going virtual until it was safe for them to travel.
Well, I sure appreciate all the work that's going into making this a school year, whatever it's going to look like. And I am very, very grateful that you are with us now with your unique experience with this, the school system that we have. It's very satisfying to know that we've got your talent here. Thank you. Is there questions? Sean?
Well, I would hate to get called in the office and see you reach for that tab. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Look forward to working with you. I suspect if a student chooses to go virtual, now they'll have to stick with that a while. Is there some kind of time limit? Because there'll be a lot of, what are your policies there?
We are encouraging them that if they make that decision to start virtual, that they stick with it for a period of time. But the thing with us, for a lot of schools, I know it really helps them in their management to be able to do that, because in a lot of states they're putting the student on a separate track, on a different plan. Our plan is that we've been a one-to-one school for a long time. We're getting hotspots for every student. We're trying to provide all the technology that they need to be able to log in. So if they're on virtual and it's that first block, they're logging in during first block, they're sitting in on class just like if they were sitting in the classroom. So for us, that transition back and forth is going to be a little bit more seamless. So we would encourage them to stay on for a period of time, but if they're at home and it's 2 weeks in the school and they feel isolated, like they're the only ones that stay at home and they want to come back to the building, and yes, we'd be able to move them right in. Yes.
Councilor Fire.
I just wanted to, I've known Mr. Moore here for a while, played high school basketball with his brother, great family, glad you're here. Face protection mask, I didn't quite catch it. What were we doing up in the school? Were we requiring students wear the masks or?
Yes, our plan calls for, we require everybody to wear masks all the time. We've ordered, we've ordered masks, we've ordered a couple separate, variations of masks. We're looking at getting some face shields.
Oh, that's all I was gonna ask about, was the
teachers
face shields, yeah.
And partitions in the classrooms, so.
Cool.
We plan to provide, we've had that conversation, we've ordered a lot, but we didn't want to over-order because, teenage kids, they're gonna all, a lot of them are gonna want to provide their own.
Yeah.
As well, so.
Yeah, that face shield thing, I think there's been kind of a comment even in our own household, because kids, everybody feeds off the facial expression. When you have a good stern look like yourself, I don't know if you're smiling, laughing, or mad at me. So I think everybody responds differently to that, especially high school kids, so that's all I was gonna comment. But I'm glad you're here, man. Good to see you. Appreciate it, Chair.
I don't see other hands. Of course, Harley, I just can't see yours, so if you want to speak, you're gonna have to make some movement down there. Well, I sure appreciate your coming and introducing yourself, and we are really, really happy to have you here. Thank you again. We do have Verna Thompson on here. I'm sure, I don't see her there, and I don't see her here, so do you have anything to say about, is Verna up there? Hey, Verna, you're too small, I'm sorry. Verna? Can you hear us? Well, she's not responding. Well, based on the fact that she's not responding.
Put her on the spot.
She could hear earlier, so I'm not sure. Not muted.
Verna?
Verna?
They don't talk a lot there in Los City.
We're going to see if that issue gets worked. There she goes. All right, Verna. It's good to have you here, Verna. Would you bring us up to date?
How about now?
Gotcha.
We got you. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I have a short report because there's not a whole lot being going on, but thank goodness for the staff that are here carrying on with the student children we have. Right now, our dilemma is how to format Head Start services. I hope you can hear me with my mask on. I have a couple of stats here with me, so we're masked up. Head Start might look a little differently this year because of the social distancing. We have 17 children in each Head Start classroom. Therefore, we'll have to think of ways to get them apart at least 6 feet. And that might mean that 9 come on Monday, come on Tuesday, and Thursday, and then have virtual classes on Friday. The early Head Start that's being going right now are doing activities at home. The children, this is second speak. Okay. I'll answer that question in just a second. But anyways, early Head Start has resumed services throughout the activities in their homes because of the Head Start program. But Head Start is still furloughed for the summer, and they'll be here soon enough. I don't know when that will be. I heard Diane mention a date of October. You know that might apply to us as well. We are really trying hard to figure out how to do this school year. It's just really difficult to know and plan right now. We have our award letter for the annual COLA, the Constitution Talent, working with HR with our work parts. We've got quality improvement funding, which we 6 additional staff. 2 will be special projects for classes. So we're excited about that and eager to get those positions advertised. We also got a generous amount of COVID funding, and we are trying to do a lot of cautionary measures as well as equipment with that funding. But we are really trying to keep our base safe and winding everything down and spray to the spraying itself and
unfortunately, we've had to do that 3 times already. Not spend like no matter what hours a day to go out and do it. And been trained very Sunday night. But we're learning as we go. I would be overly cautious. Want to keep our records safe. I'll answer any questions now. I think Councilor that was asking about the prior equipment while we're going to be installed. And we are still working. Everybody is working on a delayed schedule. But we have playground equipment going in here and there. I think sometime from last year, the more shut down really delayed. Anybody have any questions?
Does anybody have questions for Verna? Verna, we sure appreciate the effort you're making to serve our children. We know it's very important for those families and it's very important for those kids. So keep up the good work and let's all try to go forward together. I don't see any questions, so thank you.
Thank you all.
Now, I'm going to go out of order here. I want to introduce Mr. Howard Payton. Howard, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, introduce yourself.
Still, I'm Howard Payton. Glad to be here with you guys.
And so, what's your title?
I am executive director over language.
That's what I was trying to get out of you, Howard. You got to say it, man. So, tell me what's new and exciting in your world.
Well, there's a lot of things that's changed in our world. We are working right along. We have an excellent team, as everybody knows, and we are coming together and making plans to utilize one another's expertise. And we've got a language to save, and we take it very, very serious.
Excellent. Other questions for Howard as he starts this new journey? I don't see any today. Oh, yes, Victoria.
I just have a comment, and I think Howard is going to do an excellent job, and I'm so happy that you were chosen for that position. Keep up the good work, Howard. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Anything else? Mike?
Just very quick, Howard, appreciate your work in the past, and just want to tell you congratulations.
Thanks for your commitment. That's all we have today for you, Howard, but it sure is, congratulations are in order. We look forward to seeing your good work. Thank you. Now, Councilor Vasquez, would you introduce Chad Harsha?
Sure.
Is Chad, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay. You want me to just do it?
I don't know what you want me to do.
Oh.
He's already been introduced.
Chad,
Everyone knows.
we have your list here, and you're listed as Cherokee Nation Registry of Historic Places Conversation. Would you just take off from there?
Yeah, so, a few months back, the council passed the Cherokee Nation Registry of Historic Places Act.
Ask him to speak
that
up.
puts together a framework for identifying...
Can you speak up or something?
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
We're working at it. Speak boldly if possible.
All right, can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. So, yeah, several months back, the Tribal Council adopted the Cherokee Nation Historic Registry Act that put together the framework for identifying culturally significant and historically important properties throughout the Cherokee Nation, bringing them into one place. And this mirrors in a lot of ways what you have on the federal level with the National Registry of Historic Places and the state level. It's a pretty substantial program that does a couple of things. It identifies properties that are eligible to be listed on this site, and the criteria that we've lined out is pretty stringent. We want to make sure that the sites that we're adding here are of the utmost integrity, and the eligibility requirements are pretty robust. Initially, we had planned to, one other thing, it also puts together protective measures for these sites once they're listed officially and formally on the register. That makes it a crime for these sites to be defaced, which otherwise wasn't fully defined in the law as well as it should have been. So it creates a framework of protection for these sites going forward. We initially planned to present the first 5 sites, which were the primary sites that we currently have that are already listed on the National Register, the courthouse, the Capitol building. Those are the ones that people most predominantly associate with this type of project. But COVID-19 happened, and so we decided to combine our first round of listings and then our second round of listings. And as of right now, we have 15 total that the chief has signed off on and approved to be added officially to the register. I think if you look through the list that should be in your books, we provide photographs and we provide narratives that kind of explain why this site was chosen and why it meets the requirements and eligibility for listing. I think our tribal historic preservation officer has done a really good job documenting and vetting the various sites that we had to get the 15 primary ones first round. Going forward, we're looking at a whole other list of sites that we think are eligible and putting those together for a second round of listing. So one of the things that we have to be mindful of is making sure that the listings that we present to the chief and the chief adds to the register are of sufficient quality that it doesn't dilute the intent of this law. And that's what we've been trying to do. And so if you guys have any questions on the first round of the 15 sites that we have, I can certainly take those. I think they're all very important sites. And there's not much there that could be objectionable.
Well, thank you, Secretary. Are there questions about the initial list? Well, I'm thrilled to see this initial list come through finally and see that it is a great cross-section of our history, of our places, not only those that are from our original times here in Oklahoma, Indian Territory, but those that are more modern, like our complex and our Veterans Center and our garden, that all play a very important part of our history and our future. So thank you for all that work, and this is something that will matter to future generations. I appreciate it very much. Any questions before we're done? All right. No, we appreciate you a lot, Chad. Thank you.
Council.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Duncan.
Secretary, this is Kanan Duncan. I was just going to mention that over in Adair County we have Ned Christie's grave and the Flint District Courthouse as well, just for consideration. Two pretty good prominent things there.
Absolutely, and we have a pretty exhaustive list of sites that we think are potentially eligible. Now, one point of caution, I guess I would say, is that under the law, whenever we have facilities or sites that are located on private land, it requires a little bit different approach for it to be acceptable for listing. All the sites that you'll see here on this first round are all public, and we have other public sites. By public, I mean they're owned in the public domain, accessible by Cherokee citizens each state. When we get into the private property aspect of it, and there are a lot of sites that we've identified, we're going to find a way to get a written agreement with the landowners, whomever that may be, to make sure that once it is listed on this site, that we have the ability to maintain the integrity of the site going forward. And with private property, you have to have a different conversation with the landowners. I appreciate those recommendations, and I'll take those back and make sure we have them on our list and we'll start that conversation.
Thank you.
Councilor Vasquez.
Yes, I do have a question. Is this list going to be on our Cherokee.org website for the public to see, or will you be posting it at some time?
For sure. So what we have here, the process works like this. So the HIPPO and myself, we make recommendations to the principal chief as to the sites that we think meet the eligibility requirements in the act. The chief, once he approves them, he sends it to the tribal council. He's typically on the culture committee, but in this instance, the education committee. And then once it's provided for you folks to see, it becomes effective automatically within 60 days of that date. So this list that you're seeing here today, within 60 days, I will certify that it was submitted and that I have officially added it to the list. And we're working now and in that time to create a public interface, probably on the Cherokee National website under my office, that formally identifies all of the sites with the narratives, the graphics, and the law. And so that'll be the official public-facing register that we have, and we'll keep the original hard copy that exists here.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any others? Well, thank you for your work on this. It's important. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I see no old business pending and no new business pending, and we're fighting time today, so I don't have any announcements. Anybody else have announcements? Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for August 10th, and I ask for an adjournment. Who would like to make that motion? So move second. All in favor, aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Well, I could hear your stomach growl.